Yes. Welcome back to the next session of Design of Pre-Stressed Concrete Elements course. In the last session, we have been learned the analysis of composite section. Okay, so in that I have been discussed both the cases, that is modular ratio same and modular ratio different. So after learning the analysis of composite section, so let me move on to the next topic in this particular module, that is deflection of composite section. Okay, deflection of composite section. So now this deflection we have been learnt in module number 2, okay, for the regular sections. Okay, the same thing I will be continuing, okay, in the composite section also. So now how the things will vary, in the case of composite section, okay, in connection with the deflection. So let me discuss. So as we know, the deflection will vary, okay, in the regular RC member based upon the type of loading, or I can say the different stages of loading. Am I right? So based on the type of a loading, okay, the deflection will also vary. For example, if it is UDL, the deflection will be different. If it is point load, the deflection will be different. If it is 2-point load, the deflection will be different. Okay, in connection to this, we have been moved to the pre-stressed concrete in module number 2. So in module number 2, what we have been learned is, okay, apart from the beam subjecting to the external load, that means the beam will, okay, undergo deflection. The beam will undergo deflection due to the external loading. Apart from this, okay, the one more deflection, okay, that will be come across in the case of PSC members is pre-stressing force. Am I right? So in PSC member, so when you come across with a deflection of PSC member, so you will come across with the two things. One is deflection due to external loads, and another thing is deflection due to the pre-stressing force. So in connection to this, I will continue my discussion in the composite section. So as I stated, in composite members or in composite section also, what I can say, the deflection, okay, will be considered or taken into account on the basis of the different stages of loading or different types of loading. And one more parameter is what I can say, the modulus of elasticity of precast pretension beam and the cast in situ concrete slab. Okay, so this is the difference between a regular sections and a composite section. So that is the difference between module number 2 and module number 5. Okay, see, the concept and all the remain same, the deflection formulas, everything remains same. The difference between these two is, okay, there you are going to analyze as a regular section, that is single section. Here you are going to perform the analysis, or you are going to find out the deflection, okay, for a composite member based on the stages of loading or different stages of loading, or I can say the different types of loading, and one more parameter, that is modulus of elasticity of cast in situ concrete slab and precast pretension beam. So these two things will be taken into account in order to perform the analysis. So now coming to the analysis part, or I can say, there you have been learned short-term deflection, long-term deflection. Am I right? Here also you will come across short-term deflection, long-term deflection. So you know, people know that in module number 2, okay, have been discussed, short-term deflection, okay, will come into the picture, okay, when the PSC beam is subjected to, or the PSC beam is subjected to the pre-stress, a self-weight and live load. That depending upon the condition. So if you want to calculate the short-term deflection under working condition, or under service load condition or in the service condition, you will consider pre-stress plus self-weight, or I can say the transfer condition. For example, if you want to perform or if you want to calculate the deflection for PSC member in the working condition or in the service condition, you will consider you will consider pre-stress plus self-weight plus live load in order to calculate short-term deflection. Am I right? The same thing here also. Okay, the initial deflection will be calculated based on, okay, whatever we did from the last two sessions. So the initial deflection will be calculated, okay, based on the pre-stress or pre-stressing force induced. The second thing, the precast pre-stressed beam, that is self-weight of precast pre-stressed beam. The same thing we did in the last two sessions. And the next, self-weight of cast in situ concrete slab. So by considering these three things, okay, we are going to, okay, calculate the initial deflection. Okay, and also these things will vary based upon the propped case and unpropped case. Here also it will remain same. So you already know that. Okay, if it is propped, that means if precast pre-tension beam is propped, we need to consider the sectional properties of composite section in order to calculate the self-weight of cast in situ concrete slab. The same thing will carry here also. No change. Okay. And as you know, one more stresses, that is live load stresses. Okay, here also the live load deflection on the composite section, okay, will also be calculated, okay, just like what we did in the last two sessions. That is considering the moment of inertia or sectional properties of a composite section. Okay, and one more parameter, okay, so as I discussed, if the modulus of elasticity, varies, okay, or if modular ratio is not same, we need to consider the equivalent composite section, okay, what we did in the last session. That is, okay, the modular ratio, if it is not same, maybe 1.25, something like that. Okay, what we did in the last session. Okay, if that is the case, okay, so what I did, I need to consider the sectional properties of a composite section. Okay, the same thing I am going to do here also. No change. Did you get my point? Okay, so these are the things, okay, we are going to do or we are going to assess in the case of deflection. So this is in connection with short-term deflection, what I have been discussed. So coming to the long-term deflection, okay, so what we did in module number 2, the long-term deflection will come into the picture when the deflection of PSC beam will undergo certain amount of creep effect, okay, or shrinkage effect. If creep effect or shrinkage effect is considered, we are going to calculate the deflection of PSC member for long-term deflection. Did you get my point? Okay, so by knowing these basics, okay, let me recall the formulas. Okay, for deflection or in order to calculate the deflection of composite section. So, as I told, the deflection, okay, will be considered, okay, based on the two things. One is deflection due to pre-stressing force or cable induced. That is one type of deflection in the case of PSC. And one more deflection is deflection due to external load, preferably dead load and live load. The same thing what we did in module number 2. Okay, I am going to repeat the formulas, the same formulas. Did you get my point? So let me go with the first one. The first one is straight tendon. If you consider a straight tendons, okay, in the case of PSC beam, let me draw that. Okay, this is the longitudinal section of a PSC beam, okay, and this will be the central axis and this will be the span L, okay, and this will be the cable, okay, straight cable induced, okay, and this will be the pre-stressing force of magnitude P induced. Okay, so then for this particular thing, that is the deflection for straight cable, is, okay, as you know, this will induce upward deflection, very important thing. Okay, the deflection will be maximum at mid-span, and this pre-stressing force will try to induce, okay, upward deflection. Please note this point. So because of this upward deflection, the formula will be delta is equal to minus PL square, okay, minus, okay, PE into L square divided by 8 into EI. Okay, so let me, okay, mark the eccentricity also. So this is eccentricity. So P is the magnitude of the pre-stressing force, E is the eccentricity, L is the span, and E is the modulus of elasticity of a precast pre-tension beam. Please note this point. Modulus of elasticity of precast pre-tension beam. Because you need to be very careful, because in the module number 2 you are not worrying about modulus of elasticity. But in this particular deflection of composite section, you need to substitute properly. If both modulus of elasticity of cast in situ slab and precast is same, okay, no need to worry. If both differs, then you need to substitute properly. Now I am going to calculate the deflection of pre-stressing force or precast beam, hence I need to substitute the modulus of elasticity of precast, okay, concrete beam. Did you get my point? Fine. Next, I, you already know that is moment of inertia of this pre-stressed beam. So this is the formula, and negative sign indicates upward deflection. Okay, because of upward deflection induced by the cable, it is negative. So moving on to the next thing, the next is parabolic tendons. Parabolic tendons. So in the parabolic tendons, as I discussed, okay, there will be two types. One is, okay, central anchors or concentric anchors, and another one is eccentric anchors. So first let me go with the central anchors. That means, let me know what is the thing. Okay, what is the meaning of central anchors? The same, okay, beam I will consider. So let me know this L, and now the parabolic cable which I am going to induce in such a way that the eccentricity at the midspan is E, the eccentricity at the midspan is E, and support it is 0, and support it is 0. So let me induce the pre-stressing force P. Let me induce the pre-stressing force P. Okay. So once again it will okay, create a upward deflection. So obviously, so the formula, okay, for this parabolic tendons and mainly with the central anchors is delta is equal to 5 PEL square divided by 48 EI with a negative sign. So this is the formula for, okay, the deflection, okay, for parabolic with central anchors, minus 5 into PEL square divided by 48 EI. Okay, sorry, 48 EI. Okay, and all these okay, the derivations of formula, okay, we have been discussed in module number 2. Okay, the same formula. Okay, no change in the formula. The deflection due to pre-stressing force, okay, it will be same. What we discussed in the module number 2, the same, okay, will be carried here also. The next thing, coming to the next, the same parabolic tendons I am going to consider, but not with central anchors. I am going to consider eccentric anchors. Eccentric anchors. Okay, so what is the meaning of eccentric anchors? So let me draw that. So now the same PSC beam. Okay. And then next, the central axis. Okay. And then now the very interesting thing you need to note down here is the eccentricity at the supports will be different. Okay. And the eccentricity at midspan will be different. So this is P, okay, and this is L, okay. So now since the eccentricities are different, so let me mark that eccentricity. So let me mark that. So let me mark this as E1 and this as E2. This will be as E2. Okay, so you already know that what is the definition of eccentricity. Eccentricity is defined as it is the distance between, okay, the pre-stressing force induced to the centroidal axis of a section. So that distance is called, okay, eccentricity. Okay, so here also the formula will be, okay, PL square, I will write down here, PL square by 48 EI, okay, in the bracket minus 5E1 plus E2. I have taken the negative, okay, inside, hence the formula will be this. Delta is equal to PL square by 48 EI multiply by minus 5E1 plus E2. And you need to be very careful, okay, E1 is the midspan eccentricity and E2 is the central eccentricity. So when you're going to substitute the formula while doing the problem, okay, by mistake if you substitute, okay, the E1 as support and E2 as midspan, then also it will change. So you need to be very cautious while substituting the formulas. Did you get my point? Next, the one more thing, okay, that is the trapezoidal tendons. Okay, trapezoidal tendons will come into the picture, okay, when, okay, the PSC beam is subjected to 2-point loading. So when the PSC beam is subjected to 2-point loading, these trapezoidal tendons will come into the picture. So let me draw this. Okay, let me draw the same PSC beam. Okay, with the central axis, with the span L. Okay, the total span L. Now, okay, let me go with this. So let me draw the trapezoidal shape. Okay, so now let me induce the pre-stressing force P. Let me induce the pre-stressing force P. Okay, and then let me mark, okay, the distances, and please note down the distances. L1 will be the distance, okay, from the kink, okay, this point to the up to the support, and L2 will be the distance here, so from the midspan. Okay, so L1, L2, okay, and the total span is L, and the eccentricity is E, and the eccentricity E. So for this, okay, the formula will be, okay, delta is equal to minus P divided by 6EI. You already know why it is a minus. Okay, next 2L1, okay, 2L1, okay, square plus 6 L1 L2 plus 3L2 square. Okay, 3L2 square, 2L1 square plus 6L1 L2 plus 3L2 square. You need to be very careful with respect to L1 L2 here also. Did you get my point? Okay, and this is the formula for a trapezoidal tendons. So these are the formula you need to remember. Okay, you need to remember these formulas, okay, in order to calculate the deflection due to the pre-stressing force. So this is the one thing, okay, you will be come across, okay, in calculating the deflection of a PSC member. Did you get my point? Okay. Now, apart from the deflection of pre-stressing force, the PSC members, okay, or composite section will also be subjected to the external load. Am I right? Okay. As we know that the PSC member, okay, will be subjected to not only pre-stressing force, but also it will be subjected to the, okay, the self weight and the imposed load. So let me know that. So we'll write it down as phi. Deflection due to, okay, self weight and imposed load, or I can say live load. Imposed load, or I can say live load. So for this, the formula will be, okay, so what will be the formula? So it will be something like this. So this is the PSC beam. Okay, so now I am not going to show the cable. So mainly I will concentrate on the external loads. So let me subject to this like this. So now the very interesting thing I need to consider here is, if it is subjected to the external load, then both the live load and the dead load will be UDL. And please note this point, the dead load which we are going to consider will be always UDL, because the whatever the section in which you are going to consider, which will be uniform, it is not tapering, okay, and the distribution of material will be homogeneous. Hence, whatever the self weight I am going to consider in the case of composite section or in the regular section, what we did in module number 2, okay, which have been mentioned, okay, the dead load will be UDL. The dead load will be assumed to be considered as UDL. Did you get my point? Next, when I come to the live load, so when the PSC beam is subjected to the live load, so now I have been considered it as UDL. But this will not be constant as in the case as the same as that of self weight. It will vary or it will change. The live load, okay, may be UDL, may be central concentrated load, may be 2-point load. It varies. It will not be constant. So depending upon the type of loading, that's what they have been mentioned. Different stages of loading or different types of loading. Okay, so based on the type of loading, you need to calculate the deflections. Did you get my point? So that also have been discussed in the module number 2, and once again I am repeating here. Here also it won't change. No change in the formula. Okay. So let me go with the formula. So now deflection for this, okay, due to self weight and imposed load, okay, we know from the basic structure analysis class that when the beam is subjected to UDL, the formula will be what? 5WL to the power of 4 divided by 384 EI. The same thing holds good here also. So now since both UDL and live load are same, hence I will write down like this: WD plus WL to the power of 5, okay, to the power of 5 divided by 384 EI, divided by 384 EI. So now positive. Why it is positive? Because these external loads will induce downward deflection. This will induce downward deflection, hence it is positive. And cable will induce upward deflection, hence it is negative. So these things you need to remember. Okay, fine. Next thing, this formula is not constant. This formula is not constant for external load. So this will vary. How? Let me explain. So now, since both dead load and live load are same, that is UDL, I am going to write the formula like this. If the live load is not UDL, if it is point load, then the formula will change. How? So next, for that particular case, I will explain. So now, as I stated, dead load is UDL. You will write deflection due to dead load is equal to 5WDL to the power of 4. Okay, sorry, 5WD to the power of 4 divided by 384 EI. This is same. Okay, sorry, this will be L to the power of 5. I have forgotten. Okay, 5WD plus WL into L to the power of 4. Sorry. Okay. So now UDL 5WD into L to the power of 4 divided by 384 EI. But coming to the live load, if live load is not UDL, if it is central concentrated load, then the formula will change. Delta is equal to PL to the power of 4 divided by 48 EI for central concentrated load. So that's why you need to be very cautious. Okay, based on the imposed load or based on the live load, okay, the formula will vary in the case of external loads. Now, since the WDL and WL both are UDL, I have been combined these things and written the formula. If imposed load varies, then I need to write this formula separately. Deflection due to dead load separate, deflection due to live load separate. Did you get my point? Okay. So these are all the formula you will come across in the calculation of deflection of composite member. The same formula which have been discussed in the module number 2, okay, the same formula holds good here also. Okay, so these are all the things you need to remember. So now let me work out one problem so that you will be more thorough with the concept. Okay, so let me work out one problem. Okay, so let me go ahead with the problem so that you can know the things, okay, confidently. You can know the things very confidently. So let me move on to this. So now, let me take one problem. So let me take one problem. So the problem says like this: a composite T girder, a composite T girder, that means T beam girder, okay, of span 5 meter, is made up of a pre-tensioned rib, or I can say web, both are same. Okay, 100 mm wide and 200 mm deep full stop, with an in situ concrete slab, okay, 400 mm wide and 40 mm thick, 400 mm wide and 40 mm thick, okay, full stop. The rib is pre-stressed by a straight cable, so this is very important. Which type of cable? Straight cable having an eccentricity of 33.33 millimeter, and carrying an initial force of 150 kilonewton and carrying an initial force of 150 kilonewton. Okay. Next, the loss of pre-stress, that means the pre-stress has encountered certain amount of loss. The loss of pre-stress may be assumed to be 15%. Check the composite beam or girder, I can say. Check the composite beam for the limit state of deflection, or I can say serviceability. Okay, limit state of deflection. Okay, if it supports an imposed load of 3.2 kilonewton per meter, 3.2 kilonewton per meter for unpropped construction, unpropped construction, and case B, propped construction. Unpropped construction and propped construction, and assume modulus of elasticity is equal to 35 kilonewton per millimeter square for both precast and cast in situ. So this is the problem they have been given. So now first thing, it is a composite T girder. Am I right? It is a composite T girder. That means the girder means which have been written in the first session. Okay, the T section girders, tapering section girders, unsymmetrical section. So those are the girders. Okay. Okay. Of span 5 meter, fine. So this composite T girder is made up of pre-tensioned rib 100 mm wide and 200 mm deep, and in situ concrete slab of 400 mm wide and 40 mm thick. Did you get my point? Next, the rib is, that means the pre-tension rib is pre-stressed by straight cable having an eccentricity of 33.3 millimeter and carrying a force of 150. That means I have been induced the pre-stressing force of 150 kilonewton at a distance of 33.33 millimeter from the central axis. Next, this whatever the pre-stressing force have been induced has undergone the, what I can say, the losses. So hence the loss of pre-stress may be assumed to be 15%. The loss of pre-stress may be assumed to be 15%. So now for this data, you need to check whether the composite T girder or beam, okay, able to carry the load, external load, okay, or the pre-stressing force induced, okay, and check whether the composite T beam within the permissible limit or not, or limit state of deflection or limit state of serviceability or not. If I am going to subject to a imposed or live load of 3.2 kilonewton per meter, so this imposed load of 3.2 kilonewton per meter clearly indicates it is a UDL. It is a UDL. Okay. The conditions are unpropped case and propped case. So once again, you need to find out the deflection for unpropped case and propped case. Okay, just what we did in analysis of composite section, the same case here also come. Next, as I stated there also, when you are going to analyze the composite section for unpropped and propped case, okay, the very important condition comes modulus of elasticity. So as we know that, okay, the precast grade and the cast in situ slab grade are not same, even though, okay, if you pour the concrete in such a way that, okay, then automatically because of the manufacturing process differs, the modulus of elasticity will also differs. Okay, so based on that the problem will also vary. So now in this particular case, modulus of elasticity is 35 kilonewton per millimeter square, both for precast pre-tension beam and also for cast in situ concrete slab. That means both are same. Okay, so for this particular case, let me go ahead with the problem. Okay, so let me check whether this composite T girder is safe or not. So first let me draw the diagram. So now it is a pre-tensioned thing. Okay, so this is of dimension 100 mm and this will be 200 mm. Okay, and in situ concrete slab has been placed. In situ concrete slab has been placed. Okay, so this will be 400 mm wide and 40 mm thick. 400 mm wide and 40 mm thick. Okay, so now, so let me write down that. So this will be cast in situ and this will be precast. Okay, next, Okay, so we know that this pre-stress has been induced at okay, a certain distance. So let me know that. Okay, so this distance may be from the central axis. Okay, it will be, let me know that, 33.33 millimeter. Okay, so that is eccentricity. Fine. So now let me go ahead with one by one. Okay, so they have been given pre-stressing force 150 kilonewton. So we need to be very cautious. So now let me first calculate area of precast. Okay, because okay, whatever we did in analysis, okay, the same thing I will carry here also. Okay, so first let me calculate area of precast. 100 into 200, which is 2 into 10 to the power of 4 millimeter square. Next, area of cast in situ, okay, that is 40 into 400, that is 16 into 10 to the power of 3 millimeter square. Okay, next, coming to the Y bar, okay, Y bar of precast, that is centroidal distance of precast. So since it is a rectangular section, okay, and the depth is 200, so 200 divided by 2, which is 100 millimeter. Okay, next, coming to the Y bar of, okay, the composite section, because you require composite section. Why you require composite? Because you need to calculate prop construction also. We need to calculate, that's why I will calculate Y bar composite here. So coming to the Y bar composite, okay, from the top. So because when you're going to analyze the or calculate the Y bar or centroidal axis of composite section, we need to mark a reference axis. So as usual, okay, so first let me consider the first thing, okay, 400 multiplied by 40, that is area of the cast in situ. I will take the reference from the top, so hence into 40 divided by 2 plus, okay, 200 into 100, that is area of the precast, multiply by, okay, 200 by 2 plus 40, because I am measuring the centroidal distance from the top. Next, 400 into 40 plus 100 into or 200 into 100. So this will be the, okay, Y bar T of composite, Y bar T of a composite from the top will be 86.67 millimeter, 86.67 millimeter. So now if the modular ratio varies for this, then what will be the change in the step? The same problem, if I give modular ratio varies, that means 1.25, then the change here is you need to multiply this with a 1.25 and this with a 1.25. Okay, that is equivalent, okay, area of a composite section. Did you get my point? Next, let me move on to the moment of inertia of the precast. I of precast, okay, since it is a rectangle, okay, 100 into 200 cube by 12, that is BD cube by 12. Okay, the answer will be 667, that is 667. 667 into 10 to the power of 5 millimeter to the power of 4. Next, I of composite. So when you're going to calculate with a composite, be careful. Okay, once again, okay, I'm going to start with these things. Okay, that is 400 into 40, okay, cube by 12. Okay, same thing, BD cube by 12 plus B into D, that is 400 into 40, multiply by Y1 of that is 20 minus 86.67 whole square. So this will be the, okay, moment of inertia of the cast in situ, plus coming to this 100 into 200 cube by 12, okay, plus 100 into 200, okay, multiply by 200 by 2 is 100, that is 140 minus 86.67 whole square. So this is the thing for moment of inertia. So now the same thing, if modular ratio varies, then this entire precast thing I need to multiply with 1.25. If it modular ratio varies, that means 1.25, okay, I need to multiply with 1.25 for precast moment of inertia. Here also 1.25, 1.25. If modular ratio varies, now it is same, no need to worry. So okay, the answer will be 1948 into 10 to the power of 5 millimeter to the power of 4. So this will be the answer, 1948 into 10 to the power of 5 millimeter to the power of 4. Okay. So next, we'll move on to the next. So the next is WD1. So WD1 means, okay, in bracket you can write down precast dimension. I'm going to consider precast. The dead weight or self weight of precast will be 0.1 into 0.2 into, so please observe while multiplying the density or self weight. So in the problem they have not been mentioned the self weight of precast so and so, the self weight of cast in situ is so and so, hence you can consider 24, no need to worry. Okay, because in the last session which have been discussed in the problem, they have been specifically given the self weight of precast is so and so, self weight of cast in situ slab is so and so. So you need to be very careful. Okay, now it will be 0.48 kilonewton per meter. Next, WD2, that is cast in situ, equal to 0.4 into 0.04 into once again 24. Okay, so the answer will be 0.384 kilonewton per meter. Okay, so as I told, you need to convert into millimeter because you are going to calculate the deflection in millimeter. Okay, just what we did in module number 2. So hence, I am going to convert this 0.48 Newton per millimeter. The kilo will come downwards, it will become milli. So 0.48 kilonewton per meter equal to 0.48 Newton per millimeter. Okay. So this is also 0.384 Newton per millimeter. So just like this. Okay. So next, so this is about the thing. Okay, next, we used to calculate MD1, MD2. Okay, no need of MD1, MD2 because we are not calculating stresses here. We are calculating deflection here. So hence, okay, I have been skipped that step. So let me go to the next. Okay, now what we were doing in that case, the same thing I will repeat here also. So I will rub this. Okay, I will just rub these things. So now, so first thing, let me move on to the deflection due to pre-stress. Deflection due to pre-stress. Am I right? So delta is equal to deflection due to pre-stress. So what is the formula? So now the formula is you need to observe. When you're going to write down this, you need to observe. See, here they have been clearly written it is a straight cable. Am I right? So hence write down that PEL square divided by 48 EI. PEL square divided by, sorry, not 48, sorry, 8 EI. Okay. So let me substitute this. So please be careful while substituting. You want the answer in millimeter. You want the answer in millimeter. So now the P is in kilonewton. We need to convert this into, Newton, R. Modulus of elasticity, since it is in kilonewton per millimeter square only, we can retain like that. So that depends upon the things, okay, because if you're going to substitute in terms of Newton pre-stressing force, then the modulus of elasticity also you need to substitute in kilonewton. Okay, you need to be very careful regarding this. So let me substitute that. So I will substitute in Newton now 150 into 10 to the power of 3 multiply by the span 5 square. Okay, so now if you substitute 5 square, it will be wrong. Okay, it will be wrong. It will be 5000 square. Why? I need to convert this into millimeter. So these are all the things I keep on specifying. You need to be very cautious. You need to see, oh, I require deflection. So deflection will be in millimeter. So convert entire thing into Newton per millimeter square or millimeter. Next, coming to the force. So like that I need to, okay, verify it and then substitute. You should not simply substitute. If you substitute simply 5 square and do or check the answer will vary something like that. Okay, so please be cautious. 8 into, okay, modulus of elasticity, since I have been substitute in Newton, so 35 into 10 to the power of 3. If I substitute in 150, here also it is 35 because it is in kilonewton per millimeter square. Okay, so like this you need to be very cautious. Next, moment of inertia of the precast. You need to be very careful. That's what I have been told. Since you are being calculating deflection due to pre-stress. So now the pre-stress will be done only to the precast pre-tension beam. Am I right? So hence you need to consider I precast. Did you get my point? You cannot take the I of composite. You cannot doing the pre-stressing for the entire composite section. You are doing the pre-stressing only for a precast beam. So hence, okay, I precast is 67 into 10 to the power of 5. So what will be the answer? So the deflection will be 6.7 mm. 6.7 mm, and you need to be very careful with the sign negative or with upper arrow mark, or you can write upward because I've already been told it will induce upward deflection. 6.7 mm minus 6.7 mm. Okay. Next, we'll move on to the next. So as I stated, okay, deflection due to the self weight of the precast pre-tension beam. Okay, so just like what we did in the stresses, okay, the same thing, deflection due to the self weight of the precast. So now this precast beam, okay, will be subjected to the self weight of, okay, 0.48 kilonewton per meter, so which is UDL. So hence the formula will be 5 D into L to the power of 4 divided by 384 EI. Once again substitute it properly. 5 into 0.48 Newton per millimeter, 5000 to the power of 4 divided by 384 into 35 into 10 to the power of 3. Why? Because this is in Newton per millimeter. Okay, multiply by I. Okay, so once again, which is the I you are going to consider? Since it is a precast thing, so 667 into 10 to the power of 5. Okay, you need to be very careful while substituting like this. So now the answer will be 1.7 mm positive. Okay, or you can indicate the sign like this, that is downward. Okay, deflection due to self weight. Next, we will move on to the next. So the next is deflection, okay, deflection due to the, okay, deflection of precast beam, deflection of precast beam. So please be careful, deflection of precast beam due to the self weight of cast in situ slab. Due to the self weight of cast in situ slab. Deflection of precast beam due to the self weight of cast in situ slab. That means it is clearly indicating unpropped case. It is an unpropped case. Okay, so now deflection of precast beam due to self weight of cast in situ slab, okay, for an unpropped case now. Okay, so the formula will be, okay, the formula will be, okay, that is WD, okay, 2. So that is what I can say, the WD2 is, okay, the precasting, WD2 divided by WD1, because I need to consider the self weight of both cast in situ and these things, okay, multiply by the self weight, that is 5WD into L to the power of 4 divided by 384 EI. Okay, so 5WD into, okay, you need to be very careful. Deflection of precast beam due to self weight of cast in situ slab. I am calculating the deflection for unpropped case. Unpropped case, please be careful. Unpropped means I am going to consider the dimensions of a precast. Just what I did in analysis, the same thing will carry here also. Did you get my point? So let me substitute that. WD2 is 0.384. Okay, WD2 means it is the self weight of the cast in situ divided by self weight of the precast multiply by the deflection which have already been calculated, 1.7. 0.384 divided by 0.4 into 1.7. So the answer will be 1.34 millimeter downwards. 1.34 millimeter. So those arrow marks are very, very important, because when you're going to calculate the resultant deflection, you need to know the sign conventions. Okay, you need to be very careful. I will tell you that next. Okay, so next is the last thing. Okay, in the case of unpropped case. So now just what we did in analysis, the one more thing will come. What is that? Deflection of composite section due to live load. Am I right? So you used to calculate the stresses due to live load on composite section. The same thing, deflection of composite section due to live load or impose. What is the formula? Okay, so when you're going to calculate the deflection due to live load, please check in the problem. So now the problem, okay, they have been given, it is UDL. Okay, so you need to be very careful. So based on that substitute, so 5W L into L to the power of 4 divided by 384 EI. So that is 5 into 3.2 into 5000 to the power of 4 divided by 384 into E. Okay, 35 into 10 to the power of 3. Okay, into I. Since I have been calculating the composite section, okay, you need to know the I of composite section, which is 1948 into 10 to the power of 5. Like this, you need to be very careful while substituting. What you are calculating, check once. So based on that, substitute the parameters. Okay, so the answer will be 3.83 millimeter. 3.83 millimeter. So this will be the answer. Okay, so these are the deflection which I am going to calculate for the, okay, what I can say, for the case of unpropped case. If the same thing, if I want to calculate for the propped case, okay, what will be the change? I will just rub this problem, okay. So now, whatever I did, it is for a propped case. So now, just what we did in our analysis, okay, when you come across with a propped case, so this is for unpropped case. So when you want to come across with a propped case, the change is this thing. What is that? That is, when you are going to support the precast beam or prop the precast beam while placing the cast in situ concrete slab, you are going to consider the sectional properties of a composite section for a calculation of stresses, and here for a calculation of deflection. So that is the only change. So next, the same thing I will write down. Okay, deflection of, okay, composite beam. The another thing, deflection of, I will write like this. So there I was written deflection of precast beam. Now deflection of composite beam due to self weight of cast in situ concrete slab. Okay. So this is for a propped case and this is for an unpropped case. That is the only change. Okay. So C and E will get altered. C is for unpropped and E is for propped, and the rest of the things will remain same. No change. Did you get my point? Fine. So for this, let me substitute. So delta is equal to 5WD into L to the power of 4 divided by 384 EI. So now you need to be very careful, since you are being calculating the self weight of what I can say, or considering the cast in situ concrete slab, 5 into 0.384 Newton per millimeter into 5000 to the power of 4 divided by 384 into 35 into 10 to the power of 3 into once again you are calculating for composite section, consider the I of composite 1948 into 10 to the power of 5. Okay, so let me substitute everything in the calculator. You will get 0.47 mm downwards, or I can say positive. So like this, you need to calculate the deflection for unpropped and propped when the modular ratio is same. When the modular ratio is same, you need to calculate the deflection like this for unpropped and for a propped. So finally, we need to calculate the resultant deflection, so which is, I can say, short-term deflection. So the last thing, resultant deflection, or I can say short-term deflection, Okay. So for this, so as I stated, unpropped, okay, for unpropped case, the resultant deflection will be, so deflection due to pre-stress minus 6.7. Why? Because it is an upward deflection. Plus 1.7, that is deflection due to self weight of precast, plus 1.34 downwards, deflection of precast beam due to self weight of cast in situ, plus deflection of composite section due to live load 3.83 millimeter. So the answer workouts to be 1.17 millimeter. Okay, 1.17 millimeter positive. The same thing for a propped case, for a propped, which is equal to same thing, minus 6.7 plus 1.7, no change. Instead of C, I will go to this, plus 0.47 plus 3.83. So this is the only change. So the answer will be 0.3. See, you just compare this, okay. Not only you need to do the problem, okay, simply substituting, getting the answer, that is not the important thing. You need to know the concept. You just observe here, once if I am going to prop the precast pretension beam, or if I am going to support the precast pretension beam, you can see the short-term deflection has drastically reduced, from 1.17 to 0.3 millimeter. So this is the thing you can achieve in the composite section by giving a prop to the precast. Did you get my point? Fine. So this is regarding the short term. For example, if you want to calculate the long-term deflection, okay, by considering creep effect. For example, if you want to calculate long-term deflection, okay, for example, if they give creep coefficient for 28 days is 3, creep coefficient, or I can say assume, you can also calculate long term by assuming creep coefficient 3, and this creep coefficient which is there in 1980 code IS 1343 and also 2000 Okay, code. Okay, so both the code 2012 code, in both the codes you can get this creep coefficient, and these creep coefficients will vary, okay, based on number of days, because it is a time dependent deformation. It is a time dependent deformation. Okay, so when you want to calculate the long term deflection for unpropped, you just multiply 1.17 into 3 and this 0.3 into 3. So the answer will be 3.51 for unpropped case and 0.91 millimeter for, or 0.9 millimeter and 0.9 millimeter for a propped case. So this is the way you need to calculate the, okay, the short term deflection and long term deflection for a composite section. So now after calculating, okay, in the problem they have been mentioned, you need to check whether they are within the permissible limit or not. So hence what I am going to do here is, I need to check, okay, I can say check for deflection. So whether it is safe. So that is, how to do the check for deflection? So allowable deflection equal to, okay, span divided by 250. So this is the formula. So that is 5000 divided by 250. So which will lead to 20 millimeter. So that means the code has permitted to undergo deflection till 20 mm. So now in the short term or in the long term, in both the unpropped and propped case, the deflection has not exceeded or gone beyond 20 mm. Hence the composite girder is safe. Hence the composite T girder is safe. So like this we need to perform the or calculate the deflection of composite sections. So hope you have understood how to do, and if I want to explain the same problem for modular ratio different, if I want to explain the same problem for modular ratio different, the change in the problem is, okay, Y precast, it will remain same, Y composite, okay, as I stated, you need to multiply the modular ratio, that is 1.25 per precast. That is, okay, Y2, you need to multiply that, A1, A2, Y2, you need to multiply with 1.25, and below that A2 also you need to multiply with 1.25. That is one change. And in the I composite section also, for I of precast, you need to multiply with 1.25. That is another change. And the next change, this will remain same. Okay, this will remain same. Okay, apart from this, you need to be very cautious with substitution of E, because I have already told it is varying. You need to substitute modulus of velocity of precast, modulus of velocity of precast. Okay, now come to this thing. Okay, here also the same thing, modulus of velocity of precast. Now come to the composite section. So if you come to the composite section, you need to be very careful. You need to multiply again with 1 point, okay, already been multiplied 1.25, no need to multiply again here. Substitute the terminology in this I. Okay, that is the one change. Okay, for an unpropped case, YT, I composite, that I composite you have been multiplied 1.25, those I you are going to substitute in this. So this is for unpropped case. Okay, apart from this, you need to be very careful with the E value. E value, this is for precast. This is for cast in situ E. Okay, did you get my point? So you need to be very careful this. Now come to this propped case. Propped case, here also you are substituting I of composite. Same thing you need to substitute here, and also you need to be very careful with the E. So here you need to substitute E of cast in situ. Okay, there you can substitute, okay, the deflection of, modulus of velocity of precast, but you need to substitute modulus of cast in situ. This is the only change in the problem. So the rest of the things remain same. Did you get my point? So this is the concept I wanted to discuss in this particular session. So this completes your deflection of composite sections. deflection of composite section. So by this we came to know how to perform the analysis of composite section for propped case and for unpropped case when modular ratio is same and modular ratio is different. And also in this particular session we have been learned how to calculate the deflection of composite section for unpropped and propped case when the modular ratio is same and modular ratio is different. Did you get my point? Okay. Next topic is flexural strength and shear strength. Or I can say ultimate moment of resistance of a composite section and the ultimate shear resistance of a composite section. And these things I am not going to do in this particular module because these topics we have been discussed in module number 3 and module number 4. So whatever the thing we are going to do, that is MU calculation for T section, for double T section, for I section, okay, the same thing we are going to do in the composite. That is what the thing, MU calculation. When the neutral axis lies within the flange, when the neutral axis lies outside the flange, so what will be the vary in the problem? Okay, so that, okay, the same, that means T section, I section. If it is neutral axis lies within the flange, you are going to analyze it as a rectangular section. If it outside the flange, you are going to analyze it as a T sections or flanged section. The same thing will, okay, holds good here also, no change in the flexural strength. And one more thing, shear strength of composite section, that also we have been did in module number 4, that is analysis part, that is shear resistance part, okay, the same thing, okay, that is calculation of VU and comparing that, okay, providing the shear, okay, the same thing what we did in module number 4 holds good here also. So that is regarding flexural strength and shear strength of a composite section. Did you get my point? So these are all the topics, okay, are there in module number 5. Okay, hope you have been convinced with a composite section, whatever I have been taught from the last 5 sessions, including this session. Okay, hope you have been convinced with the concept and the analysis and the deflection what we have been did. But flexural strength and shear strength, whatever we discussed in module number 3 and 4, that remains same here also. No change in the formula, no change in the concept. The same thing. Okay, as per the IS code. Okay, so this is the thing I wanted to discuss in module number 5. Okay, I have been left out with one part, that is differential shrinkage. Okay, so we'll discuss that later. Okay, so with this I am going to conclude. Okay, and please perform well in the examination. Okay, all the best for the examination. Do well, be cautious. Okay, read the problem twice. Read the problem twice. Okay, know the things, what you want to calculate, what are all the data given, substitute those things properly, get the answer and substitute in calculator also. Okay, so those who are reading module number 5, hope you have understood. Okay, and those who are reading other module, so all the best. Okay, do well in the examination, all the best. Thank you.